Alright, let's dive deep into the Green Giant himself, the Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For a character as iconic and powerful as the Hulk, it feels like a crime that he ended up being so, well, disappointing. We're talking about a character who's a walking embodiment of rage and strength. Yet in the MCU, he's been nerfed and watered down to the point where he's more of a punchline than a powerhouse. Spoiler alert, this is not the Hulk we know and love from the comics. First off, let's remember who the Hulk is supposed to be. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the 1960s, he's one of the most formidable characters in the Marvel Universe. The Hulk's whole deal is that the angrier he gets, the stronger he becomes. He's practically unstoppable, a force of nature, and his fights are epic. When you think of the Hulk, you think of smashing, chaos, and absolute devastation. So why did the MCU have to tone him down? The answer is simple. They didn't know how to write him in a way that could fit into their larger narrative without breaking the whole thing. When the Hulk first appeared in The Avengers, he was still somewhat true to his roots. Sure, he wasn't quite the unstoppable force from the comics, but he still had that raw power. Fast forward a couple of movies, and suddenly we're dealing with Professor Hulk in Avengers Endgame. This version is a hybrid of Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and honestly, it's a huge letdown. Instead of being this rage-fueled monster, we got a chill guy who can casually snap selfies with fans. Like, really? The Hulk was reduced to comic relief, and it feels like a betrayal to fans who wanted to see him wreck stuff. The shift in the Hulk's portrayal is frustrating, especially considering how much potential there was for compelling storytelling. The Hulk's inner conflict has always been a central theme in his narrative. Bruce Banner, the brilliant scientist, struggles to contain the monstrous alter ego that wreaks havoc when unleashed. In the comics, this struggle is rich with psychological depth, exploring themes of anger, isolation, and the duality of man. However, in the MCU, that depth was sacrificed for the sake of light-hearted banter and easy plot resolutions. One of the biggest problems with the MCU's portrayal of the Hulk is that they were too focused on fitting him into a larger ensemble. The writers didn't seem to know how to utilize his strength and complexity without breaking the flow of their stories. Instead of crafting stories that let the Hulk shine, they had to constantly find ways to limit him. We saw this in Thor, Ragnarok, where the Hulk was treated more like a gladiator than a character with depth. Sure, the movie was fun, but it turned the Hulk into a sidekick rather than the main event. Think about how the Hulk story could have been woven into the larger narrative of the MCU. Instead of just being a part of the team, he could have been a key player whose presence shifted the dynamics of the Avengers. His struggles with rage and control could have created tension and drama, but instead, he often felt like an afterthought. The writers seemed to think they could take the edge off the Hulk and still keep audiences engaged. Spoiler, they were wrong. The lack of creative storytelling led to a Hulk who wasn't really a Hulk at all. He became this toned-down version that didn't resonate with fans. Instead of exploring the complexities of Bruce Banner and his monstrous alter ego, we got a phony version that was more interested in cracking jokes than smashing bad guys. Imagine a version of the MCU where the Hulk was allowed to be his full, chaotic self. Think about the emotional stakes that could have been explored, Banner's struggle to control the Hulk, the fear he had about his own power, and the consequences of unleashing such destruction. There were so many opportunities to create compelling stories that could explore these themes while also delivering on the action and spectacle fans crave. Picture a storyline where the Hulk becomes the primary antagonist, driven by an uncontrollable rage that Banner struggles to suppress. This could have created intense internal conflict and heightened the stakes for the other Avengers. Instead, they played it safe, keeping the Hulk firmly in the friend zone and limiting his potential to shine. The MCU had the chance to dive into the psychological aspects of the character, to explore what it means to have such power and the burden that comes with it. But no, instead, we got a series of comedic moments and awkward social interactions that completely missed the mark. By the time we reached Avengers Endgame, the Hulk had transformed into this shadow of his former self. Yes, he played a crucial role in the story, but it felt more like he was there because he had to be, not because the writers had a vision for him. The climactic battles against Thanos should have showcased the Hulk's true power, but instead, they played it safe. We got a lot of Iron Man and Captain America moments, but the Hulk was just there. And let's not forget how they managed to handwave away the character's massive power levels. The explanation for why Hulk couldn't just take Thanos down immediately felt flimsy at best. It was almost as if the writers were too scared to let the Hulk actually win because they were worried about how that would affect the overarching story. This fear of unleashing the Hulk's full potential ultimately undermined his character. The reaction from fans has been mixed, but many of us who grew up loving the Hulk can't help but feel let down. We've seen incredible stories about Hulk in animated series, video games, and of course, the comics. Each iteration of the character has explored different facets of his personality, the conflict between Banner and the Hulk, and the sheer power he wields. Yet, the MCU's version feels shallow and forced. The writers seem to think they could just drop in some clever one-liners and call it a day, but that's not how you honor a legacy. When you hear the word Hulk, it should evoke feelings of awe and excitement. Instead, fans are left with a feeling of meh. It's like going to a concert to see your favorite band, only to find out they're playing their most popular songs with half the energy and enthusiasm. You want to scream, "This isn't the Hulk I know," but instead, you find yourself nodding politely and hoping the next song will be better. Now, let's not throw the whole MCU out with the trash. There's still a glimmer of hope for the Hulk's character in future projects. Marvel is planning a new wave of series and films that could offer fresh perspectives on our favorite characters. With the introduction of newer characters and a broader storytelling canvas, perhaps there's a chance for the Hulk to reclaim his place as a formidable hero. With shows and potential solo movies on the horizon, maybe we'll finally get to see a deeper exploration of Bruce Banner's psyche and the Hulk's raw power. It would be incredible to see the writers embrace the full complexity of the character, using the wealth of source material available. The Hulk could be more than just comic relief. He could be a tragic hero who struggles with his dual nature while fighting for a greater cause. Ultimately, the legacy of the Hulk is one of contradiction. He's both a terrifying monster and a misunderstood outcast, a symbol of unchecked power and a cautionary tale about the consequences of that power. The MCU had a unique opportunity to dive into this complexity, but they opted for a safer, more palatable version instead. It's a shame, really, because the Hulk deserves so much more than what he's been given. As fans, we can only hope that the MCU eventually gives the Hulk the story he deserves. Whether it's through future films, animated series, or even a return to the comics, there's potential for a revitalized Hulk that truly captures his essence. Until then, we'll just have to keep dreaming of a true Hulk smash. While the MCU has had its share of hits, the Hulk's portrayal is definitely a miss. He deserves better. Better stories, better character arcs, and most importantly, the chance to be the unstoppable force he was always meant to be. Here's hoping that in future projects, they finally realize that you can't just nerf the Hulk and still expect to keep the magic alive. Until then, we'll just have to keep dreaming of a true Hulk smash. The fans are out here, waiting for that moment when the Green Giant can once again roar with rage and reclaim his place as one of the most formidable heroes in the Marvel Universe. The Hulk's journey is far from over, and we'll be right there, cheering him on for the day he finally gets the story he deserves.